Hey, good morning, everybody. It is great to be back with you here again this morning for another morning briefing. I'm not on my usual perch down there on the beach and fresh in from Baja California, so I've got a lot of current news. But today it looks like we are cursed with some really nasty weather. There's a lot of wind, a little bit of rain, not too much, but we're more concerned about the ocean surface and how that is, and it's very dangerous right now, and that's going to extend into this evening. So most of the sport fishing boats here at 22nd Street Landing, as well as up and down the coast, are in for the day at least, and we'll have to see what happens with the ocean's environment. You will for sure see a reduction in water temperature after a blow like this, so we'll have to watch and see what effect that has on what has been some really great fishing. Of course, I'm in fresh from Baja California, spending some time down there with my dear friends at Blackfin Sportfishing. I'll have all those details for you in a moment. We'll cover what was going on before this storm, and then we'll project into the future right here on the morning briefing. As always, it's a pleasure to be with you all, and I'm so happy to be here because we had such a great and eventful trip down to Baja California. Victor and Russo and Nazio and all the people down there at Blackfin Sportfishing who make that place so special. And the reason I went down there was to experience firsthand. My friend Albert, and friends I should say, Albert and Crystal Ponce, they've been down there before, and they highly recommended the place to me. To be honest with you, that was good enough for me because Albert and Crystal, you can just take anything they tell you to the bank. There's just no doubt that it's going to be a for sure thing. But I wanted to go down and experience it myself because it seemed like so much fun. So let me take you on that ride first of all. Then I'll get back and talk about what is going on up in San Diego and above, and we'll get that all taken care of. So we get down there to Blackfin, and man, right when you walk in the place, it's this festive and really friendly atmosphere. Everybody's drinking coffee, having fun. You feel like you're becoming part of the Blackfin family right away. And Victor is such a jovial and nice man. I mean, he's talking it up and getting you ready for the trip and making sure they have everything on board you will need. So we take off, and I got to tell you, those guys, Ignacio and Victor, worked their tails off. I mean, we went probably over 40 miles to the south, and our goal was to find that 66-degree water. We were looking for that because that's where the yellowfin tuna had been hanging out. And man, I'll tell you, there had been some really good YFT fishing. You find a pod of dolphin or you find a sonar mark or anything like that, you are in. So we kept traveling south, south, south. And during this whole time, believe me, I like to watch crew guys. And I was watching Nacho. He never, ever was not looking at his fish finder or scanning the horizon. I mean, he was all business all the time. Victor also scanning the horizon. And I like to do that too. I like to be the hero who finds a pot of dolphin or whatever. So we found some dolphin, but it was in that cooler water, so it was iffy. Weren't sure it was going to bite. 65.5-degree water, and we had all kinds of dolphin playing around. Man, our fingers were crossed that we were going to get a jig strike on that fish or see some evidence of yellowfin tuna, but it just did not happen. So what we do, man, we just kept burning fuel and kept going south. I mean, these guys are not afraid to burn fuel. They're not afraid to go the distance, and we certainly did that. But at some point during the adventure, Nacho looked at me and looked at George Feldman, who was on there, and also Victor, and said, guys, we're wasting our time in this cold water, and we've gone 40-something miles south. Let's go in and catch some lingcod and some rockfish, so you guys are going home with some fish. So we went in and really had some great lingcod fishing, a lot of fun, had plenty of fillets at the end of it all, but we never found that yellowfin tuna. So now with all this wind, one never knows. Is this the end of the YFT for the year? You just never know. It's been such a crazy year. When I thought it was over, when I thought we were going to have a cooler water La Nina event, all this Dorado shows up, so we're going to have to play that by ear. But we need to get through this rough weather, and we will go from there. So on the way back, and I'm going to save most of this for a video that I'm producing for later, but we went into La Bufadora to get this gorgeous view of the blowhole that, I mean, I was so thankful when we got in there. Looking up, I've never seen La Bufadora from that side. I've always been up with all the rest of the tourists. La Bufadora is this area with all kinds of little shops where you can buy souvenirs, and there's restaurant dining and lobster you can eat there, and it's a spectacular view. And they've got this awesome blowhole that just fires up these huge and immense clouds of water. It's really spectacular. But to see it from where we were looking at it was truly amazing. And then we got a lobster trap caught in our prop, and we were right at the mouth of that thing. So I'm going to leave what happened to a future video. You're going to have to come back today and check that out. I will tell you that due to the expertise of our crew, Nacho and Victor, it all worked out okay. But man, it was hairy for a moment, and I'll have that video for you just a little bit later today. Then back in we went, and Crystal and Albert had already arrived at Blackfin. And I got to tell you, man, all of a sudden, instead of you get back from a typical trip and you're like, okay, thanks, bye, great trip, really appreciate everything, and then you leave. That's not what you do here. You sit down. If you like to have a cold beer, they've got it for you. If you want something else like me, they've got it for you. And you sit around this table, and the captains are next to you, filleting your catch of the day, and you talk about the day that you just had. You reminisce over the fun stuff and the scary stuff. You just kind of bond together. And while that is going on, Victor and Albert, for that matter, and another gentleman were cutting sheep's head to make this delectable ceviche that we all dined on and all agreed that was some of the best ceviche we had ever had in our lives. And I got to tell you, that attention to detail, that little more that they did, lot more, it was incredible. It really, really, really was a wonderful experience, and just another one I'll click in there to my Baja experiences for a wonderful Baja adventure. And rock fishing is not the most exciting fishing in the world, so we went and got a lobster trap caught in our motor. You're going to see what happened. It got really hairy, and I recorded it on video, so you'll be able to see that a little later today. I've got to do that justice, so give me a little while to edit that. But Blackfin Sportfishing down there in Ensenada, I highly recommend it. You will have the time of your life. And Blackfin now has become an official sponsor of Friedman Adventures. Victor and I worked out the details, and man, I'm so proud to have them on board with us. So Blackfin Sportfishing, Ensenada. Incidentally, December and January is when big lings move into the shallows down there. If you like to catch lingcod, and I do, it's so much fun, you're going to want to think about a December, January trip down there with the guys at Blackfin. All right, so let me jump to the San Diego fleet now and talk about that a little bit. Of course, they've been going on those day-and-a-half trips finding that yellowfin tuna. Let's hope that comes back after this wind. You're going to have that reduction in water temperature, and it might be enough to send those little fishies south. We'll see. I have my doubts. I just think this season is going to go on and on and on and on. And if that yellowfin tuna gets out of the picture, we still have the bluefin tuna, which has been biting really, really well. You know how good that fish has been. We had the Polaris Spring with over 50 fish, over 100 pounds. I mean, we've had fish up in the 200-pound class. It's been remarkable. It's been daytime fishing, nighttime fishing. The Pursuit was out on a recent trip here out of 22nd Street, ran a day-and-a-half trip, had several nice fish. Nick Ramirez with some nice fish. So that is still going to be in the cards because the bluefin don't require the higher water temps that, say, Dorado and yellowfin tuna do. They do bite better, bluefin, when that water temp gets to about 67 degrees. But as Victor was saying down there at Blackfin, they caught bluefin this year, early in the year, in less than 60-degree water, and it was biting very, very well. So we are going to have to see what Mother Nature gives us. Now, I noticed that we're going to have a little bit more wind midweek, so we're in a windy kind of situation right now. We'll see where we go from here. Now, San Diego-based boats also have the option, if that bluefin were to shut off and that yellowfin were to shut off, then they're going down to Collinette, and they're catching copious amounts of beautiful big rockfish and also some really good yellow action during this time of the year, yellowtail action. The Jurel like to bite during this time of the year, so there's still plenty of advantage or options available to everyone down there, and we'll be keeping our eyes on that. On the coast, mostly sculpin and rockfish. That's been the rule. I surmise that we'll get back to that again after this blow. I don't anticipate too much surface action, but one never knows again. And especially with all the market squid that have flushed into the Southern California coast and islands here recently, that just gives you, if you have that for bait live squid, gives you a little more ammo and can really entice calico bass, white sea bass, halibut, and other species into biting. So that is within the realm of possibility. Also, good rock fishing in the Channel Islands, but it is way too windy right now up there in that neck of the woods. Surf fishing, there's a few halibut on the Lucky Crafts. Not a good day to be doing that, though. It can be very dangerous, especially if you're fishing from a jetty or something like that. People get washed off those jetties every single year and die. So that is not something you're taking your kids out to do or anything that you want to do for sure. So we're in a little bit of a state of flux right now. Mother Nature's entered into the picture, and we'll just have to see what she leaves us with. Later today, I will have that video of us losing our motor right at the mouth of La Bufadora. It was one of the most harrowing moments I've had in the last couple of days, for sure. It was definitely a Friedman adventure, and I'll have that for you a little bit later today. I'm thankful that I'm back here with you because of the great crew on board, the guys there with Blackfin. And I am so grateful to have seen my friend Frank Savino down there in Rosarito Beach. We had a lovely breakfast at El Tampanco. Highly recommend you check that place out for breakfast if you're down there in Rosarito Beach. It's fantastic. But seeing Frank, I love Frank, spending time with George Feldman, Albert, and Crystal Ponce, and their two kids. I want to play some more tag here really, really soon with Brody and Mia because that was way too much fun. Thanks, everybody. I'm back with the morning briefing. I hope you enjoyed it. And, of course, we'll have more content today later on. Take care. My friend, my big thanks, Victor, to a job well done down there. Can't wait to come back and visit you really, really soon. In fact, by the way, Victor and some of the folks down there in Ensenada are going to be taking care of some orphanages, or one orphanage. I forget which one it is, but that's going to be November the 26th. We've got a lot of stuff, valuable stuff, that we're going to take down there and become part of that great event with Victor and the great people from Blackfin who are helping the community around them. This Saturday, by the way, folks, we are going to be at La Mirada at Gallagher Staging, and we're going to be going through a lot of the donations and separating them into children, boys, girls, adults, men, women, medical supplies, and all that. If you'd like to come down and help us, we'd love to see you there. And Greg Bates, who's a big part of the Friedman Adventure family, I was kind of like half asleep when I was talking to Greg last night, but I think he's bringing down a barbecue and going to barbecue up a big storm so that you get fed while you're down there. And that is typical Greg Bates. Let me tell you, he is not only a dear friend, but he cares a lot about what we're doing here at Friedman Adventures. And to be perfectly honest with you, I couldn't have done all the things I've done without him and all the other guys, Anthony Amalfitano and Chef Jason, and I don't want to leave anybody out, okay? So everybody who's made this all possible, my hat's off to you. All right, thanks, everybody. Stay tuned. That's going to be a funny video. Funny, scary, dramatic, you name it. It's all of that. That should be up around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Thanks again, everybody. Another morning briefing in the books. I'll see you soon.